More information is coming out about Celeste, Rivas-Hernandez, and David. Private investigator Steve Fisher, who is looking into this case, releasing photos to the public of Celeste and David from a camera that he got out of the LA home after David moved out.
Where is David? It's a simple question, but probably a complicated answer. For the man who all eyes are on as the investigation continues into the death of the young girl found in his car, as there's no arrest, no named suspect, no named person of interest, and now a statement from the LAPD possibly signaling that no one may ultimately be charged with her death, why haven't we seen or heard from him, and what do we think he's doing right now?
Let's talk Build-A-Bear. That certificate that says Esmeralda. We don't know if it's Celeste's cousin Esmeralda or if it's the cousin that did the GoFundMe, but the date is pretty fascinating, and the fact that it's found inside his home. This is April in 2024, the certificate. Celeste would have been 13, and again, Esmeralda might have been, about 15 or 16. But this likely puts Celeste inside David's home, doesn't it?
How short these people are.
I'm not even short, like, at all. David's the only short person here.
We're the same height.
No, we're not, look.
Go back to back right now.
Am I butt
No, he's
fatter?
not.
Am I butt fatter too? I'm tall.
Himself low-key for a long time, but now the people closest to him are catching heat. The spotlight is shifting straight to his inner circle, and some folks think the ones around him might have known way more than they let on. For example, David's manager Josh was reportedly aware of his situation with Celeste. Not only that, but sources say he even confronted David about how messy things were getting. Caleb, David's brother, was also cool with Celeste. And from the way things look, their two families seemed way too comfortable with a situation that never sat right with anybody. So let's break it down. What really throws people off is how David once brushed Celeste off like she was just another fan. Yet there are multiple pictures of them together. Real photos, not edits, not rumors. That alone has folks raising eyebrows, and anyone who pays attention to how Hollywood works knows exactly why certain people walk away clean while everyone else gets torn apart. It's unsettling how much influence David seemed to have in Celeste's world. When someone is young and living in a huge city with barely any support system, it's easy for a powerful person to step in and shape everything around them, from where she stayed, to what projects she worked on, to who she stayed in contact with. He had his hands in all of it. That's why people keep wondering how long her phone stayed active and whether he ever used it to communicate with her family or control what they heard from her.
More information is coming out about Celeste, Rivas-Hernandez, and David. Private investigator Steve Fisher, who is looking into this case, releasing photos to the public of Celeste and David from a camera that he got out of the LA home after David moved out. In this post that he makes when releasing these photos, he talks about the timeline, wanting to know crucial questions. He says the last picture that he has of Celeste in this camera is from January 2nd of 2025. He said David was still using this camera because on January 8th of 2025, he was taking pictures at a video shoot. I talked about this video shoot. I was pretty sure it was probably the One More Dance video. Now I'm like 99% sure I was exactly right because I found this post on Instagram of some of the production team that was working with David on making this music video. They say they made this video January of 2025. They did send this to the private investigator Steve Fisher, that way he can reach out and ask them if they saw Celeste when making this music video. But I think that they probably didn't the way they worded this post. Said that they were part of the production team behind David's One More Dance, a project that now feels different in the light of the investigation surrounding David and Celeste Rivas. And they said that they started to feel uneasy about this when all the information was coming out and they saw recent interviews of David talking about his alter ego Atami. To me, I feel like this is just too much to be a huge coincidence. This private investigator is saying that there were thousands of photos of Celeste on this camera. And then all of a sudden, after the last photo of her on this camera is shown, you are recording a music video.
Another headline recently started circulating, claiming that David's brother and his manager are now getting dragged online after one video blew up.
Has been released of Celeste backstage of David's concert. And at this point, I really want to know when they are going to charge David with at least being around a child. Because in California, the age of consent is 18 years old, and also Celeste was a runaway child. She was literally missing. This video, she's wearing Hello Kitty sandals, just like in her missing person poster. And here's the Crocs that Celeste has on her feet. And I talked about these Hello Kitty sandals already and tied them back to David also because her friends were leaking pictures out of text messages. And here's those sandals, and she's holding on to this Hello Kitty keychain. This is the same Hello Kitty keychain that David can be seen in this TikTok video wearing on his pants. This is literally just like a week after this person is saying that they caught this video of Celeste backstage of David's concert. They're saying this person that is with Celeste backstage is David's brother, and I'm going to show you a close-up of her face in 1 second. And they've even leaked more Discord chats between Celeste and David. And this one was dating all the way back in 2022, where she's saying, "My parents are so annoying. They won't let me go see you perform." And he says, "Don't worry, I'll fix."
Authorities haven't confirmed any new suspects, but people are paying real close attention to the folks who were standing closest to David the whole time. And the names coming up again and again are Caleb Burke and Josh Marshall. Honestly, it's hard to believe Josh didn't know what was going on. He was managing David's whole career, so he saw everything up close. And Caleb? There's no way he didn't pick up on the signs either. At this point, I'm even wondering if David's parents ever knew what was happening behind the scenes. This screenshot has been floating around everywhere because someone dug up an email from way back in 2024, and it's wild.
Marshall publicly denied this in TikTok comments, claiming it wasn't true. However, an alleged copy of that email was leaked tonight on Reddit. The screenshot circulating online is said to be one that Josh Marshall took himself. He then sent it to David, who then forwarded it to one of Celeste or Celeste's friends. Coincidentally, Josh Marshall was there February the 14th, 2024, the very first time that Miss Rivas went missing, which was also coincidentally the same day that the lease was signed on the property. And not only that, Josh Marshall was also around like 6 days before April 21st, 2024, where Miss Rivas and David are suspected to have gone to Six Flags with her cousin, Esmeralda. He ended up going with David to Coachella 6 days before that day. There's something there. Now we have an email. There is something there.
The message was sent straight to Josh Marshall, warning him that people were talking about David and saying he might have been connected to Celeste's disappearance, and the person basically begged him to do the right thing and make sure she got back home safely. That's a serious message for anyone to ignore. So people weren't just whispering, they were literally spelling it out and sending it directly to Josh, telling him what they believed was going on and urging him to get involved. And the craziest part is that Josh screenshotted this email and forwarded it to David, and then David passed it to one of Celeste's friends, which is why the screenshot even exists today. That right there shows that everybody in that circle saw the message loud and clear. This also explains why Josh later claimed nobody emailed him. Technically, the email went to the account connected to David, not Josh's personal inbox. So he's trying to be clever with his words. But if you're managing someone and you have full access to their professional messages, acting like you didn't get the email doesn't make you look innocent. It just makes you look like you're dodging accountability.
Steve Fisher has posted some new photos that are very interesting. And of course, I'm going to be dissecting those photos and taking a look at each and every one. So first, let's go through his statement. On the night of December 30th through the morning of December 31st, 2024, David and Celeste were together in downtown Los Angeles, where several photos were taken in public. Celeste was 14 years old at the time and about 70 miles from her home in Lake Elsinore. Whether she was sober that night is open to interpretation. There is photo evidence of them together on January 2nd, 2025. And then on January 8th, a sizable crew was filming a music video with David out of state. And by January 11th, David was in his hometown in Texas. On January 20th, 2025, he is on a Delta flight. And a lot of people may wonder how he got access to these photos. He had access to David's camera for some reason, but I remember reading it in an article. I will put that article up here so that you can read it for yourself. So the question is, where was Celeste between January 3rd and January 20th, 2025? Can anyone account for her during that time? There were many people present at the music video. Did anyone see her there? What about in his hometown in Texas? Does anyone have any proof of life for Celeste Rivas Hernandez?
Josh even said, "I never received any emails. I had zero knowledge of anything, and I don't live in California," like he was trying to wash his hands clean of everything. But what's interesting is that right after that 2024 email got sent, Celeste ended up back with her family not long after, almost immediately. And that timing has a lot of people raising their eyebrows. It's pretty clear the whole inner circle knew something wasn't right, and once the situation got exposed, they rushed to distance themselves from it. But even then, David didn't stop there, and that's what keeps people questioning these relationships and who knew what behind the scenes. Another thing that's been blowing up online is a DM from someone in David's friend group, either Neo or Aisha, who responded to a story about Celeste and said something like, "Bro, this is my friend's girlfriend." Someone then asked whether there was a way she could confirm the girl's real age, and suddenly the whole conversation got messy fast. Aisha responded with shock, saying things like, "Wait, what? That can't be true." But now she's been trying to backtrack online, saying she didn't know Celeste personally, didn't know her age, and is tired of people twisting things. She even wrote a long message explaining that her socials only show her with friends Vanessa and Celeste Hera, and people keep mixing up who's who. She claimed folks online are trying to play detective without even knowing who they're looking at. But here's the thing. The original DM shows she acknowledged that this was her friend's girlfriend. And if she knew about the relationship, then she had to know something wasn't adding up, especially with how young Celeste appeared. It makes people wonder why she stayed so close to David afterward, especially since there's footage of her with him on the tour bus. Chill like nothing was off at all.
I'm gonna show you guys the eats before we embark on our tour adventure. We got the Bangin' Balls burgers, the Bangin' Balls tender, tour bus vibes, studio in the back because we making music called Tour. You know where it's at. You know what it is. Why am I talking like this? I don't know. See y'all in San Francisco. First show on the way. We're gonna get naked on.
Then I saw a commentary message that made a good point. If my friend had someone around who looked super young and we gotta keep her hidden, and my friend has money but she's wearing the same outfits every day, I'm gonna notice something. And honestly, that's real. If someone posted that back in 2024, then this whole thing was already raising red flags way earlier than folks wanted to admit. People online are saying Aisha knew Celeste was a missing young adult because her age was listed publicly, yet she still kept hanging around David. So now folks want answers. The commentary I'm seeing is full of people saying they always felt she knew something wasn't right, and that the whole friend group seemed fully aware of whatever was happening behind the curtain. It's confusing how Celeste was seen with David, his family, and even in public settings, yet his inner circle acted like they didn't know the truth at all. And honestly, this has some people wondering if the families on both sides might have known more than they're letting on. It's messy, and the amount of enabling behavior people are pointing out, from David's side and even from Celeste's relatives, is really unsettling. Now, something else people keep bringing up is how David and his circle always use Discord. Aisha even posted a strange message in there back in July, one of those anonymous confession forms. It had questions like, have you ever cheated? Have you ever hated someone? Have you ever hurt someone? And then she added, I won't know who you are. Super weird vibe for a public post. Some people think she was indirectly throwing shots at David, hoping he'd confess something through that form, but nobody knows for sure. What's wild is how she keeps acting like she barely knew anything about Celeste or her background, but her behavior online shows she was aware of the situation for a long time. Another person pointed out that the Gap hoodie the older Celeste wore apparently belonged to the younger Celeste, which is something the internet has been talking about non-stop. And honestly, with everything that's come out, it's shocking that none of these people have been completely iced out socially at this point.
Where is David? It's a simple question, but probably a complicated answer. For the man who all eyes are on as the investigation continues into the death of the young girl found in his car, as there's no arrest, no named suspect, no named person of interest, and now a statement from the LAPD possibly signaling that no one may ultimately be charged with her death, why haven't we seen or heard from him, and what do we think he's doing right now? He has been keeping a very, very low profile. In fact, as far as we see, there have been no confirmed, verified public sightings of him in months. Where is he? Why haven't we seen him? In fact, the day after the body was found, he performed in Minneapolis to a sold-out crowd at the Fillmore. His social media presence has been radio silent too. I mean, if you look at some of his past posts in September, right before this news broke, this is what you have, and it kind of mirrors what was on TikTok too.
Now let's get into the Build-A-Bear situation, because that's a whole story by itself. Investigators found a Build-A-Bear certificate at David's spot in the Hollywood Hills, and it was issued to Esmeralda, Celeste's adult cousin. And a lot of folks believe Esmeralda supported Celeste spending time with David, which is raising even more questions. An investigator posted that Celeste was last reported missing on April 5th, 2024, and then on April 21st, a certificate with Esmeralda's name popped up at David's location, just 16 days later. That same day, David posted a roller coaster video from what looked like Six Flags. And people are connecting the dots, wondering if Esmeralda was the adult who accompanied Celeste, because the park requires guests under 15 to be with someone 21 plus. If that rule was in play, then someone older definitely had to be with her.
Let's talk Build-A-Bear. That certificate that says Esmeralda. We don't know if it's Celeste's cousin Esmeralda or if it's the cousin that did the GoFundMe, but the date is pretty fascinating, and the fact that it's found inside his home. This is April in 2024. The certificate. Celeste would have been 13, and again, Esmeralda might have been about 15 or 16. But this likely puts Celeste inside David's home, doesn't it?
Well, it's inside the home, and it also, there was people aware of where Celeste was, and they're obviously in contact. They planned this out, and I don't believe this is just a coincidence. I believe that this is that Esmeralda, and David was there. We know at 6 Flags that day. Celeste was a missing person, and then shortly after, she shows up at graduation, and I think, there's some people pushing back saying, she's, Esmeralda's a senior in high school. The point is that I don't think Celeste was the only person there for that graduation. I think there was adult family members there as well. And they should have notified law enforcement that Celeste is, we've located her, and then they intervene and find out what's going on. But that didn't happen.
At this point, nobody would be shocked if Esmeralda or other relatives were getting paid off too, because the whole situation feels cloudy and unfinished. And the truth is, investigators don't seem to be pushing forward much right now. Everyone keeps saying the next step depends on the medical examiner's office, but I don't think many folks trust that office anymore, especially after high-profile cases like Kim Porter and a few other questionable situations. People feel like certain departments move differently when powerful names get involved. Detectives say the robbery homicide unit is still on it, but the department also stated there's no indication of foul play, which has the internet furious. Because how does someone end up locked in a vehicle found in such a disturbing condition and somehow there's no sign of wrongdoing? None of it sits right with anybody.
Why is it that we think the toxicology report on Celeste might actually be coming sooner rather than later?
Well, I've been tracking the cases around that's around the same time as hers and for the weeks before, and those that were in deferred status have been changing over to having cause and manner. There are a few cases that still haven't, but there are several cases actually on the same day, on the 8th, September 8th, as hers, that toxicology has come back because they now list some of the other people's deaths as effects of fentanyl and whatever. So I believe her initial talks may be back, and they're still working through cause and manner. But there's also a good chance, because of her state of decomp, that they have to send this out for additional testing or a different type of testing to get a result.
Just wonder if they're going to tell us about it, even if it does come in today, yesterday, or tomorrow. That's the other.
One investigator named Steve even said the whole reason Celeste ended up inside that Tesla, no matter what the cause of death turns out to be, connects directly to the concerning and highly inappropriate involvement David had with her as someone much older.
I have an update on the David and Celeste Rivas case, so let's talk about it. Now, apparently, David and nobody will be charged in this unaliving of this little girl, because apparently it's being said that nobody did anything to her. So even though she was found in his car that was apparently stolen, that he never reported missing, she was dismembered and found in his car. But nobody did this. Also, in one of his homes, there was a lot of people going in and out. They found pills. They found a number of things in the home that was really odd. So with that being said, Celeste Rivas will not be getting justice, and nobody will be taking accountability for her unaliving. This little girl was 15, taken advantage of, and now she is gone. What do you guys think is going on?
And he said if no charges end up filed regarding that dynamic, it would be a complete failure towards Celeste. She wasn't protected when she was alive, and the least the system can do is protect her now. Steve also mentioned there's evidence that her connection with David started when she was extremely young, way younger than she ever should have been interacting with someone his age or status. She was pulled out of her normal school life and placed into an adult lifestyle she never should have been exposed to. And that alone deserves accountability from everyone involved.
You have heard that the family told people after Celeste went missing not to look for her. And we've noticed that that Vegas photo was deleted from the aunt's Instagram. What do you make of that?
And that's Esmeralda's mom. And so I was told by a source very close that on the last time she went missing, the family members were saying, don't look for her. She's staying with other family members near LA. And all of a sudden we see a lot of interaction with Esmeralda and Esmeralda's mom. So it's, these are all dots we're collecting, and then we'll connect them.
Which makes me wonder, what were they saying if they meant family members, that she's staying with family members? Because if she was staying with David, he was no family member. And I'll remind everybody that she was 14 when she went into that trunk and 15 when her rotting body was taken out of that trunk.
The headlines lately are stressing people out because the media keeps sounding more relaxed about the idea of David possibly walking away from all of this. One report even said they got a direct statement from police saying it's still unclear whether hiding someone's remains even counts as a criminal act. That shocked everybody. Because if that's the case, what does that mean for the public? So someone could leave a body inside a trunk and there's a chance nothing serious happens to them? Some reports even say concealing a body might only be considered a misdemeanor in California. And if someone were charged with an accidental death situation, that too might only count as a misdemeanor, with up to a year in jail and a fine. People are stunned by how light that sounds.
So KTLA News in LA reached out to the LAPD to get an update on the Celeste Rivas Hernandez / David case, and the LAPD basically responded back to them and let them know that their news release stands on its own to this day. Now remember, their news release was posted on September 29th, 2025, and it said, the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office has not yet determined the cause or manner of Miss Rivas Hernandez's death. As such, it remains unclear whether there is any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body. Now at the moment, we do know that the medical examiner was not able to see any signs of foul play on Celeste's body according to their findings. Whether that's due to there not being foul play involved or due to the level of decomposition, we're not sure, but that is part of the reason why we are seeing such a delay here. And given the fact that there's so much weight being placed on this toxicology report, it makes me feel like maybe people are cooperating with authorities behind the scene, letting them know that Celeste did pass due to an accidental OD, and they're just waiting on the toxicology report to confirm that. At the moment, the LA County District Attorney's Office is still saying that the case has not landed on their desk for filing consideration. So essentially, authorities do not have enough evidence to present this case to a DA to bring about charges against anyone at this time.
And apparently, failing to report a death isn't even illegal in some scenarios. So if you had a roommate who passed away and you just didn't tell anyone right away, there might not even be a specific charge for that. This whole situation is blowing people's minds. Honestly, Celeste's family needs to be looked at a lot closer too, because the whole situation feels bigger than just one person. Yes, losing a family member is heartbreaking and nobody wants to take away their right to grieve, but if we're talking about justice, then every piece of this story matters. And if it turns out her parents were trying to distance themselves from raising her or didn't provide the support she needed, then that deserves real accountability as well.
LAPD confirmed to KTLA News on November 6, 2025 that prior news release stands on its own. The release stated that no crime other than concealment of a body may have occurred in the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case involving David. Fisher wrote in a post on X, the LA County District Attorney's Office also confirmed that no case has yet been presented to their office for consideration. The statement also neglects to mention another aspect of the case that Fisher thinks is worth investigation. It's also worth noting that nowhere in the press release or in any official statements has there been any mention of an investigation into the relationship that David had with Celeste. Yes, there could be a difficult case to prove because Celeste is no longer here to testify, but that does not mean it should not be pursued, Fisher added, meaning they're not even looking into the possibility that he had a relationship with a minor that was found dead in his car. Like, are you serious? Hopefully law enforcement and the DA's office will do their job and take this case, even if it's challenging, even if people close to Celeste are unwilling to cooperate because it would expose their knowledge of the illegal relationship. Charges should still be filed. We must prove we will protect children from predators. David has never been arrested, charged, or even named as a suspect in this case.
Investigator Steve recently said he believes a small inner circle helped keep this whole situation going. And that made a lot of people think about names like Aisha, Neo, Baby Esmeralda, and others who were always orbiting around David. The question now is, how many of them truly knew what was happening and how early did they know it? Even though the Tesla belonged to David, he wasn't living alone. Far from it. That house had multiple people coming in and out, and a lot of them reportedly had access to the vehicle. When too many hands have access to something that later becomes evidence, it makes everything 100 times more complicated. What I keep hoping, just like a lot of you, is that the ones in that inner circle finally decide to step up.
She obviously does look a bit older than in the previous photos that we've been shown of her. And I'm also noticing a small mark on the upper right side of her cheek. I can't tell if it's a tattoo, a shadow, a piece of hair, maybe a piece of jewelry, but there's definitely something there. She does look a little bit tired and not scared. I'm not saying scared or distressed or anything like that. She just looks a little bit tired, and she also looks like she's kind of carefree in this moment. She's smiling in that relaxed, almost aloof way. away, like she's just trying to enjoy the night. The next photo I want to talk about is this one. I want to point out the timestamps between these two photos. The first photo is timestamped at December 30th, 2024 at 11:57 p.m. The second photo is timestamped December 31st, 2024 at 12:01 a.m. So that's a difference of 3 minutes and 35 seconds, basically taken just a few minutes apart, crossing from late night December 30th into early December 31st. And this stream was taken January 22nd.
Someone out there knows more than they've said, and someone out there saw more than they wanted to admit. If even one person in that group comes forward and tells investigators what they really know, this whole case could take a major turn. At this point, the silence from David's circle is starting to feel louder than anything they could say out loud. The longer they keep quiet, the more the public feels like they're hiding something, and honestly, it's getting harder for anyone to believe that all these adults were around Celeste without knowing the real truth behind the scenes. This whole situation didn't happen in a bubble, and too many people were way too close to pretend they didn't see anything at all. Investigators keep repeating that they're still digging, but cases don't move unless people speak up.
And the only music video that David released around this time frame 1 month later was the music video for One More Dance. Oh no me, I went back and I watched this music video and my heart sank. In this music video, there are multiple clips that show woods that look very similar to the picture that the private investigator released off David's camera. But that is the least concerning thing, because in this music video, it's the music video where there is a girl who looks very similar to Celeste. And the fact now that we just got this photograph of Celeste released and she also has a nose ring just like this girl in this video made me have chills up and down my spine. This is also the same video where it appears that people are putting someone in the trunk of a car. And also shown in this music video is them running from police once they're pulled over after they put that person in the trunk. We were all deep diving into David's music and his alter ego Atami, but now to see these timelines lining up and this new photograph of Celeste coming out.
And you can feel it in the air. That tension, that pressure, that sense that someone in that tight little group is eventually going to crack. Because secrets like this don't stay buried forever, especially when the whole world is watching and asking questions they refuse to answer. If anyone in that inner circle wants to save their own name, now is the time for them to come forward and tell the truth before this story flips on them completely. Because once the full picture drops, and it will, nobody wants to be the last person holding the bag. And that's where we're leaving it for now. If you've got thoughts, theories, or anything you think adds to this conversation, drop it in the comments because I'm reading everything. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next update. And don't forget, there's another video popping up on your screen right now with even more wild celebrity drama waiting for you. See you in the next one.